Okay. For those of you who are waiting, can anybody hear me? Just type in yes or no. See, hear, something, I don't know. Help me out. Thank you. Yes, with trouble. Well, gosh, Michelle, I'm sorry. I don't want you to have trouble. We'll try to do it as well as we can. Okay, so greetings, campers. Welcome to the world according to Yoni. This is the grand test, or the grand experiment, as I've been calling it, because let's face it, I've never gone live before, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So, woohoo! I'm glad you're here with me. I have all these notes I've written about things I want to talk about today. For the main reason, if anybody, for those of you who are regulars to my show, you'll know that the last 3 shows I've done, I haven't talked any politics because I've been so enamored of, listening to people like Jody Hamilton talk about growing up backstage at the Carol Burnett show, or Louis J. Stadler talking about his Broadway experience, his tours, his working with Stella Adler. I didn't have time, and I didn't want to interrupt it with politics. At that point, I was sick of politics, but of course, since then, things have been happening, and I wanted to find a way to do it without taking up the regular show. Also, because if this works, I'm going to invest in software that will allow me to have guests on live, so you can ask them questions as well as me. So there you have it. I'd like to start by saying this. It was the late great Maurice Mosley who said, if you can't say anything good about the dead, say he's dead. That's good. I don't know why I wanted to say that, but there are just several I'm hoping I can use them with in the near future. That may not be kind of me, but it's how I feel. So the first thing I would like to talk today is the January 6th insurrection, whereupon the QAnon vote and the what do they call it? The Proud Boys. I don't know what they're called, but they stormed the Capitol, created a riot, 5 people killed, including one policeman. And I'm sitting wondering, okay, the Democrats hold the Senate. They hold the House. They hold the White House. Merrick Garland, the man who did not sit on the Supreme Court, is now the Attorney General of the United States. And what's happened? Well, okay. Several hundred of the invaders have been arrested. Although, if you notice carefully, in a lot of red states, the judges have let them bail or let them trip because they paid for them. Now, let me think. What do these people have that allows them to get such bizarre treatment, considering they did something that has never been done before? They attacked the capital of the United States. I mean, that didn't happen in the Civil War. It happened on January 6th. And I just am stupefied. I think maybe the reason they're getting the kind of treatment they're getting is because I don't know, they have a certain color of their skin. Because I know damn well if they were black, brown, green, or yellow, sure as hell wouldn't have happened. They'd be sitting waiting for their trials. But even more so, I want to know why the Attorney General, the FBI, why have not arrested or even indicted one sitting member of Congress. We all know there were people involved. I don't have to say their names. You know who they are. But they're still sitting in their House seats and their Senate seats. Why? I mean, we're more than 6 months or a little under 6 months out from President Biden's inauguration. Wouldn't you have expected by now that, I don't know, someone who was on the video the day before the insurrection, giving tours to insurrectionists, telling them, oh, this is a good place, that's a good place. Why are they still sitting in Congress? Why are they still sitting in the House of Representatives or the Senate? I just don't get it. You know, it took no time at all for Senate Minority Leader McConnell to use the filibuster to fuck us. And he didn't even allow discussion of the insurrection on the floor of the Senate. He used a racist Jim Crow rule. It's a rule, not a law. Remember that. He used it to stop Merrick Garland's appointment to the Supreme Court, and he's doing it now as minority leader. So if no one can stop Mitch McConnell, well, what the fuck's the difference what his title is? He's still running the show, and I just don't get that. There's something that, you know, kind of got me this week, because Representative Joyce Beatty of Ohio, who also happens to be the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, was arrested for participating in a peaceful demonstration on behalf of voting rights. What did these people do? Well, they culminated their protest in a march around the Senate Hart office building atrium. That's what they did. That's what got them arrested. What color was Joyce Beatty's skin again? Oh, right. It wasn't white. You know, I could be wrong, but there seem to be two sets of laws in this country. One for the rich and powerful, and usually white, and one for the rest of us. We've killed the middle class in this country. So you got lots of money, or you're struggling to survive, especially after the last year. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for what we all hoped for was going to happen after President Biden was sworn in. I don't understand why he is not writing what do we call the orders. I'm blanking, and this is what happens when you're live. You go blank and you have to keep going anyway. Why is he not signing executive orders every day? I mean, that guy, that orange tinted asswipe who sat in the White House Oval Office before President Biden, signed them, and he didn't even know how to spell his own name. So why isn't President Biden doing that? Because God knows the Senate is certainly being stymied, and not to be unkind, but Senator Schumer, in my opinion, not a great majority leader. He's not showing a lot of strength, and the Democrats need to show strength. I mean, we're still playing defense, and we're in charge. I mean, we're not in charge by much. And with Senators Manchin and Sinema, who call themselves Democrats, but especially after Manchin last night was at a Republican fundraiser in Texas. As a matter of fact, he was the headliner at the Republican fundraiser in Texas. If these are the kind of Democrats we have, well, we've got a serious problem. And it means in 2022, we better get our asses out there, and we better vote in a whole hell of a lot more Democrats, enough that they can't play these games anymore, even if the Democratic leaders refuse to be strong, refuse to change. What's the problem? Oh, right. We want to be bipartisan. Guys, you know it, I know it. There is no bipartisanship that's going to happen with the RethugliQanon party. It just ain't going to happen. So, we got to do something. I mean, what was it? Yesterday, a judge kicked DACA to the dirt. So thousands of kids who grew up here, or people who are now adults who grew up here, what's going to happen to them? Voting rights are being stripped away from people every day. And it just so happens that it's happening in red states, and they're targeting minority areas. Minority areas who, I don't know, might be inclined to vote blue. Yeah, the RethugliQAnons do this because, as we all know, they can't win any other way. They have to cheat. And we know it. And we know it, and it's still happening. They spent 40 plus years setting this situation up, starting with taking over school boards, city halls, then state legislatures and senates, governorships, and then the House and Senate, where and even getting, well, I mean, with the help of Vlad Putin, getting Orange Boy into the White House. And what are the leaders of the Democratic Party doing? They refuse to acknowledge that there's not gonna be bipartisanship. There's not. And they refuse to acknowledge it. Why? Why? I mean, look, I like Joe Biden. I think he's a real human being, which certainly can't be said of the guy who preceded him. But he's still trying to be a good guy, and he's still acting, for the most part, like the Senate was the way it was when he was in the Senate, when you could disagree with somebody on the other side of the aisle and then go to dinner with them and have your families get together. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. That's those days are gone. So something needs to happen, because this country is in serious trouble. I mean, the racism in this country is beyond belief. It's I don't understand. I know I keep saying that, but I just do not understand it. How do insurrectionists invade the capital of the United States and get treated pretty well, all things considered? I just don't know. And if someone can answer that question for me, please do, because I haven't had it answered, at least satisfactorily, in a way that I understand. And if you have, please explain it to me, because this country's in trouble. And if 2022 doesn't go the way we want, don't be surprised when you see the brown shirts marching down towards the Capitol and taking it over. 1933 Germany, I would remind you that Mr. Hitler was put in jail after he tried to foment an insurrection in Germany in the 1920s. And yet somehow in 1933, he became Chancellor of Germany, and the Nazis took control. And if you think it can't happen here, you're wrong. It can. That's what I'm going to say on that. Now, I want to go to the topic that, especially today, is eating away at me, and that is COVID. As many of you know, I had COVID. Um, and truthfully, I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones. Um, I lost taste and smell, and I had some of the problems, but I had the hacking cough. But compared to what's happened to hundreds of thousands of people, it wasn't bad. But after I was vaccinated for the second time, they gave me a little sheet. I had the Moderna. They gave us a little sheet telling us what some of the side effects might be. And at the very bottom of the list was depression. But what they didn't say is if you already suffer from depression or if you're bipolar, uh, those side effects might be a little worse. I personally realized that they were worse the day I was sitting on my bed and thinking, maybe I should run a bath, go hop in and slit my wrists. It's funny, but I'm not kidding. That really happened. And where I knew something was wrong was A, I don't take baths. I don't like baths. As my brother reminded me this morning, I haven't taken a bath since I saw Jaws for the first time. I kept expecting a shark to come out of the tub. So I shower. The second part of that is I am phobic about needles, knives, anything sharp. Scares the shit out of me. So if I was suicidal, the last way on God's green earth I'd do it was by slitting my wrists. So that's when I knew there was a problem and I probably should call my doctor. I did. But the question remains, why did we reopen everything? Why, after being told for a full year by Dr. Fauci that we needed to reach herd immunity, suddenly 2 weeks before Memorial Day weekend, we were told, herd immunity is not important. We don't have to reach herd immunity. Why? Because the business of America is business. And let's face it, businesses were hurting, especially the travel industry, the restaurant industry. I get it. I understand. But reopening that early was insane. It was insane. And then even worse, we were trusting people who were anti-vaxxers, who were RethugliQAnons, spreading these rumors about what the vaccines would do, or that they were being forced, their freedoms were being taken away, they were forced to be vaccinated, or they had to wear these masks. Well, in the area I'm in, 51 to 53% of the population has been fully vaccinated, and that's adults, not kids. Yesterday, I was in Costco. I'd say about 80% of the people were not wearing masks. Now, you do the math. If, say, generous, 53% of the people have been vaccinated and 80% are not wearing masks, there's something going on there, which is why I continue to wear a mask and will continue to wear a mask. And for all my friends who live fairly nearby or want to get together with me and my wife, and we want that too. We want that desperately. We long to see and touch and be in the same space with our friends. But there's this little variant of COVID, Delta, and there's another one, Lambda, and I think there's another version of Delta now going around. My younger brother, who had COVID, had it worse than I did, called me this morning because I haven't heard from him in a while. Why hadn't I heard from him? Because even though he continues to wear a mask, even though he had COVID, was fully vaccinated, he caught the Delta variant. And he's been in bed for 3 weeks. Today is the first day he got out of bed. And he called me and he sounded awful. And this is his first day out in 3 weeks. Well, he didn't end up in the hospital and he didn't die, thank God. But he got it. And people, you have to realize we are all targets for this virus, whether we've been vaccinated or not. If you start taking your mask off, personally, I apologize to my friends who do this, but I think you're a fool, because there are a lot of people out there who are not wearing masks, who have not been vaccinated and will not be vaccinated. Let me think. They're reopening schools in September all around the country, but they don't necessarily have to have their kids vaccinated. Well, let me see. If you send a kid to a public school, don't they have to be vaccinated for, I don't know, some possible diseases or viruses that are not contagious? Yeah, but for one that's deadly, that's not necessary. We were reopening too soon. And I believe it's Los Angeles County that shut down everything again yesterday. And it's going to start happening around the country again. Because as much as we wanted to get back to the business of business in America, we didn't do it the right way. And we're not doing it the right way. And it's dangerous. It's life-threatening. And we have got to get that through our fat heads. Okay, I'm not going to belabor the point. You guys get it. I know you do. But, you know, for years, I've heard how great America is. And I don't mean the make America great again bullshit. I mean, we're in the freest country in the world. We have the best healthcare system in the world, if you can afford it. You know, without Medicaid, I'd probably be dead by now. So thank for that. But there are a lot of people who are still uninsured. And now here's interesting. On my last birthday, I turned 65. So I am now on Medicare. But you know what I found out? Even when you're on Medicare, pharmaceutical companies can deny you the prescriptions that your doctor ordered for you. I don't get it. The doctor says I need this medicine, but even when I'm 65 plus, the pharmaceutical company can say, nah, you don't need that. Or no, we're not going to give it to you. So it has to come out of your own pocket or you don't get it. That's not good. So when they talk about Medicare for all, I am absolutely for Medicare for all, but it's got to be expanded. And I'm sorry, the pharmaceutical industry has to be stepped on because they have been taking advantage of the American people for far too long. And every time I hear some representative of a pharmaceutical company say, well, it's the research and development, I want to slam my head through a wall, or better yet, slam their head through a wall. Because the reality is their research and development is largely paid for by American taxpayer dollars. So while it may cost them something to develop new drugs, it's also costing us to develop the new drugs that were then either denied or overcharged for. I mean, hell, you can get the same drugs in Canada for far less than you can here. Why is that? Well, for one thing, the Canadians, they don't have, they can say no to the pharmaceutical companies, come in with a better price. For some reason, we don't do that here. The government doesn't do that here. And I just don't understand why. Oh, there's so much I don't understand. Um, you know, ah, I'm this is what happens when you're live. You can't edit out the things where your brain goes, I'm overloading. This is driving me insane. Actor John Cusack, who is very to the left of the left, uh, got pilloried from both the right and the left a week or two ago for tweeting, and I'm going to quote this. He said, "We aren't great. We aren't even mediocre. We're fucking awful, full of cowards and corporate whores. Boeing gets to take out tax dollars, parade our soldiers, wrap themselves in the flag, while financially backing fascists. We have no leaders, no soul, just greed." He got pilloried for that. But was he wrong? Um, yeah, we do have some the Val Demings and those people. They are wonderful and they are trying to fight for us, but there are a hell of a lot who are not. And in the Democratic Party, we need leadership. We need people willing to fight the fight. You know, I remember during Tangerine Turds 4 years, we would say, you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, okay, so now we're bringing a handgun, except they've got AK-47s. So we're still getting the shit kicked out of us. So really, what did John Cusack say that wasn't true? Not much. And certainly he had the right idea. You know, and you want to talk about how free this country is and how the race relations are better. If you have friends of color, any color other than lily white, ask them how much better they think things are. If you're a member of the LGBTQ community, how much better are things? There is a biker bar in Montana called the Eagle's Nest. It's an hour away from where Matthew Shepard was murdered for being gay a number of years ago. So, in this biker bar, the Eagle's Nest, what have they been doing? Well, they've been selling anti-LGBTQ merchandise, including t-shirts, which they sold out of, that said, "In Wyoming, we have a cure for AIDS. We shoot fucking fags." That's what it said. And people bought them. Now they say they've stopped selling them because they ran out. But this crap is still going on. It's 2021. We've got problems in this country, folks, and they're getting worse, not better. I was hoping by now we'd see a lot more improvement. And we have seen some improvement because, like I said, Joe Biden's a good, honest, honorable man. I don't always agree with him. I don't always agree with his methodologies, but at least he's a human being and you know he cares. Kamala Harris, she's wonderful. I love that woman. But as vice president, you know, there's so much she can do. She can break a 50-50 tie in the Senate, but as long as the filibuster stays alive, that doesn't matter because all Mitch McConnell has to say is, "I'm filibustering." And you have to have 60 votes. Well, we all know they're never going to get 60 votes in the Senate right now. So he can pretty much close down anything he wants, just like he did from 2016 to 2020. And excuse me, I'm wrong, because he did it while Barack Obama was still president. Otherwise, Merrick Garland would be on the Supreme Court rather than Attorney General. Glenn Kirshner, where are you? God, I wish you were the Attorney General. I know what would be happening if you were. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, America has come so far. Now, I'm going to skip to my next topic. This is one I've been saving up for a while. I have to admit, I am sick of the juvenile crap that passes for morality in this country. Growing up in the 60s and early 70s, a period of time when pretty much everyone I knew was getting high on a regular basis, I smoked my first joint ever on my 60th birthday. Why did I wait till my 60th birthday? Well, when I was younger, I wanted to be different. And everybody was getting high, so not getting high was what made me different. On my 60th birthday, I wanted to do something I'd never done before. And I have friends who were more than happy to help me find something I'd never done before with a joint in my hand. So that's what I did. I am now registered for medical marijuana in the state of Maryland, where I currently reside. That's a good thing, because I've been told we have this thing called an opioid crisis. Okay, we have an opioid crisis. The opioid crisis has far more to do with people who were getting illicit opioids, which were not made by pharmaceutical companies, but, like crack done in somebody's basement, and then ODing on them because they were downing them like candy. But opioid crisis? It became a political football. And of course, because we are a politically correct country, you had to agree. Oh, we have an opioid crisis in this country. Stop giving painkillers to people in pain. So marijuana legalized became pretty much the only thing that people who suffer chronic pain or people who've had surgeries can use to get them out of pain. I like President Joe. I've said that a number of times. But until this country grows the fuck up and decides that allowing people to suffer on a daily basis is not a good thing, this opioid crisis bullshit has got to stop, because there are people suffering. And it's nice. Using marijuana to relieve pain has certainly helped me. It's helped my wife. It's helped a lot of people I know. But it's not legalized everywhere. So what do the people in the states where it's not legal do? And the federal government hasn't legalized it yet. So, there's a problem there. We're going to see this bullshit continue, because while, there were doctors who overprescribed, now they're terrified to prescribe. They will not prescribe. Oh, I can't give you an opioid. You might become a junkie. Actually, they already think we're junkies. They think everybody in this country is a junkie. We have a problem here. No, not many people in this country see anything other than black or white. And gosh, how ironic that is. But there are no areas of gray. It's taken. You're in pain. Oh, take an ibuprofen. Take 4 ibuprofen. Take a Tylenol I was going to say Tylenol 3, but you can't get Tylenol 3 because they won't give it to you. I don't understand. I honestly don't understand. Wanda Sykes, the comic, is doing a bit, but it's a true bit. She had a double mastectomy. And what they gave her for pain when she went home was ibuprofen. A double mastectomy, but the woman gets ibuprofen because they don't want her to become a junkie. Prescribe her enough to have 2 a day. That's not going to make her a junkie, but it might help with the pain. My wife, who suffers chronic pain, went to a pain clinic. Well, you think a pain clinic's going to help somebody with pain. No. When she asked for a Tylenol 3, they actually treated her like she was a junkie and told her she had to make do with ibuprofen and Tylenol. I don't know about you, but yeah, maybe for some minor things, ibuprofen can help. Tylenol does nothing for me. But they are not major league painkillers. So if you've had surgery, like I did, I had rotator cuff surgery on my left shoulder. That's some serious surgery. And after the surgery, you're on a pain blocker for 24 hours. So you feel pretty good. When that 24 hours wears out, you are in screaming agony. Well, the surgeon was kind enough to prescribe me 4 Vicodin, 2 a day for 2 days. After which, of course, I was supposed to go to ibuprofen and Tylenol. 4 Vicodin after surgery? I mean, come on. Let's get real. Every American is not a junkie. Every American is not going to become a junkie. But Americans need something for pain. And here's the interesting thing about, medical marijuana. I learned just last night that in Maryland, when it comes to edibles, and I don't like to smoke because it affects my throat. With edibles, they are now cutting down the power you can get. You used to get 40 milligrams of an edible, and I would cut them into 4 pieces. But now you can't get more than 10 milligrams starting tomorrow. So what the fuck? Because here we're paying for a card that says, yes, we can get medical marijuana. The state makes money off of us selling these cards and making us go to the doctor and telling them what our problem is. And isn't that lovely? Insurance companies don't cover medical marijuana. And now, yet again, the government is doing their thing, because even with medical marijuana, which is not addictive, they don't want us to have it. You can have all the alcohol you want because that's legal. You can drink until you're drunk off your ass, staggering around like an idiot. But medical marijuana, the one thing that some of us can get, is now being cut back on. Although you can still smoke as much weed as you want if you like to smoke it. I'm confused. I don't understand it. And there's, once again, if you can explain it to me, please do, because I don't get it. Even my own doctor, I love my doctor. I think he's one of the kindest, most caring people I know, but he doesn't believe in medical marijuana, and he won't prescribe opioids. I mean, there's so much pressure on doctors not to prescribe opioids. It's not funny. So, and I forgot, pharmacies. Pharmacies are strictly monitored into how many opioids they can sell or have even in stock in a month's time. So this is one of those places where the government gets involved and fucks everything up. And I'm looking for a change. I'm looking for improvement. I'm looking to our leaders, our democratic leaders, to put some sense into this and to help people who are suffering, because something's got to give. Anyway, I've been storing all this up for, I don't know, a couple months now or a month. It's hard to remember because, since my reaction, the side effects from my second Moderna were so bad, they were worse than the COVID, that I can't remember anymore when I talked about one thing or another. It's a little scary. Now, I first of all, I want to thank you all who are here. I'm overwhelmed that anybody would, take a Saturday afternoon, even if it's, just a handful of you. That's really kind. I will be doing an interview this coming Thursday with a gentleman named Steve Stoliar. Steve is an author. He is a screenwriter. He has written for television. He does voiceovers. He's an actor. But when he was a student, he had the great good fortune of becoming Groucho Marx's secretary and archivist for the last 3 years of Groucho's life. Steve wrote a great book about it called Raised Eyebrows. So we're going to be discussing that Thursday. It's going to come out the following Monday. I hope you will tune in for that. If I get some good response to what we're doing today, I will start doing more live broadcasts, and I will invest in the software I need to have guests on with me so we can have more of the show live, which I really would kind of enjoy doing. So I hope you will join me for that. Now, as I always do, if you look at the button under my name on your screen, you'll note that I have 147 subscribers. Please subscribe. That number has been flat for like 2-3 weeks now, and I don't really understand why. I've had some great guests, Jody Hamilton, my acting hero, Louis J. Stadlin. I did a 2-parter with Louis, and it's a great interview. Well, it's not an interview. Here's something Steve Stoliar said, and I really want to steal it because it's true. I look at what I do when I talk to anybody on this show as a conversation, not an interview. I'm not an interviewer. I'm not a journalist. I am an actor, a writer, and a director, and I speak to people I find interesting. So I want to converse with them. I had my first hate mail from someone who thought one of my interviews I made all about me, because I talked about my stuff as well as listening to what my subject had to say. It was a conversation. It wasn't an interview. So I want to do more conversations. And if I do them live, you can participate. You can ask questions and we'll answer them. So that's that. Please subscribe, like my show, like my Facebook page, The World According to Yoni, my Twitter page, World According to Yoni. If you would like to write the show, the email address is accordingtoyoni@gmail.com. And if you're one of my friends and you've received a friend request from a young lady named Carolyn Anderson, she is doing the web marketing or social media marketing for this show now, as well as the company my wife and I run, Solar Films, and our various film projects. So please, if she hasn't friended you, friend Carolyn, and stay up with what we're doing here, because a lot of it's fun, and I think it's enjoyable as well as informative. But I need an audience. I'm an actor. I need an audience. Now that I've said all that and asked you to like everything and subscribe and all that crap, I'm going to look and see if anybody says anything, that anybody had any questions for me. Yoni, it is hard to understand what you're saying. The buzz and echo is very bad. Then somebody says, okay, now it's clear. Guys, I don't know. I'm a one-man band working here, and I can't tell how it sounds to you. So sorry for any part of this you've missed. You know, for the people who have made those comments, I know you. You can write me, call me. We'll talk. I'll tell you what I said. Let's see. My sister-in-law says, with vaccines, you might not die, but if you get COVID and are bedridden for 3 weeks, better than death. But the richer get rich and the poorer get poorer. How can anybody afford to be sick and stay in bed? Gosh, that's a good question, Lauren. I don't know the answer. How can they? I know in my case, we can't. My wife and I saved up. We were going to buy a house. Instead, we decided to survive the last year, which left us penniless. So I get that. And let's see what YouTube limits characters. Okay, well, I got that same thing. I am 100% pro-vaccine, but vaccines aren't enough. We still need masks because we can't afford 3 weeks in bed. Lauren's right. We can't afford 3 weeks in bed. I sure as fuck can't afford 3 weeks in bed. My wife can't afford it. We're living in insane times. What are you supposed to do? Anything else? Oh, in England, the equivalent, boy, she's writing a lot. In England, the equivalent of Tylenol 3 is available over the counter, but they don't have an opioid epidemic. Interesting, isn't it? And Stacy agrees with the fake opioid crisis. It was a distraction. Yeah, it was a distraction, Stacy, but it's a distraction that's cost a lot of people a lot of pain and suffering that was needless. They didn't have to. Our congressman here, David Trone, had a nephew who died of an opioid overdose. And I feel for him. And he is one of those leading the march against opioids. But his nephew had a drug problem, and his nephew wasn't going to a doctor and getting opioids for a problem. He was getting them under the table. God knows what was in them. He OD'd on them and he died. That's not the same thing. And Congressman, you need to understand that, because for the people who are suffering, because I understand you're upset. Your nephew died of an opioid overdose. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about doctors carefully giving people in pain or who have had surgery and are going to be in pain something to help them. Why is that so hard to understand? Again, I don't get it. But that's it. I've said everything I had to say for today. I want to thank those of you who joined me, those of you who watch this afterwards. That's cool. Oh, Lauren's writing something else. Second, if schools are legally allowed to refuse to require vaccines against COVID, how can they legally require vaccines against anything? Doesn't that set up a dangerous legal precedent? Uh, I'm not a lawyer, but yeah, I would think so. Uh, it doesn't make sense. I said this earlier. How can they demand that you take a vaccine for one thing, and especially because it's one thing or two things that are not contagious, but for something that's deadly and contagious, that they can't enforce, that they can't make happen. Um, I don't know. I don't get it. Do you? Stacy, I agree. I have family and friends who have serious pain issues because they cannot get opioid medication. Insurance reform is desperately needed. That may be the understatement of the decade. Yeah, insurance reform is desperately needed. I mean, we have insurance companies where the chairmen or chairwomen of these companies are going home with 20 and 30 million dollar bonuses every year above their salaries because the companies are making so much money. And where's it coming from? Our pockets. The insurance industry is one of the most corrupt industries on the planet. They have more money than God. And gosh, you know where a lot of it goes? Goes into the pockets of politicians who will take care of the people putting money into their pockets because that's how they get reelected, since we don't have election campaign reform either. So, yeah, I agree. Anything else? Or is that it? We got all the questions or the comments here? Uh, good. I'm really glad. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad I did this. I have no idea what you guys think. You can tell me later how it worked, but thank you for being here. And I hope you come back for the regular show, which you can find on my YouTube channel here or on your favorite podcast network if you'd rather listen than watch. Me, I'm a watcher. I like to watch and listen. Uh, but some people just like to listen. That's weird. Uh, and join me a week from Monday with Steve Stolier. And I've got some really good guests lined up. I'm really excited about. And hopefully I've asked some people in the music industry to join me because musicians seem to be the one group we haven't had on as guests yet. And there are a couple I would really love to interview. So, I mean, converse with. I should never use the word interview because it's only going to get me in trouble. So, I would like to converse with them on camera for the world to see. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy, stay well, stay sane. And as Billy Joel used to say after he finished his concerts, don't take any shit from anyone. Thanks. And I'll see you soon, I hope. Bye bye.